Okay, in this video, we're just going to consider one example so that we can start using some of the properties of definite integrals. And here, our example, we have been given some integral values. So the first one is that the integral from -1 to 1 of f of x dx has a value of 5. The integral from 1 to 4 of f of x, oops, I forgot a dx there, dx has a value of -2. And the integral from -1 to 1 of h of x dx has a value of 7. And the first thing that we want to evaluate is the integral from 4 to 1. So notice that the integral from 4 to 1 we might be able to use the integral from 1 to 4 to help us. The limits of integration here have been reversed. And when that happens, you saw in the previous video that our output will be the opposite of the value of the integral when the limits of integration are reversed. So since the integral from 1 to 4 of f of x dx is -2, when we reverse the limit and find the integral from 4 to 1, that will be the opposite of -2, or just 2. Okay, in number 2, well, we can use some of our linear properties of the definite integral. And I'm going to rewrite this by first separating this into two different integrals and then factoring out the constants. So I'm going to use the sum difference rule here. This is going to be from -1 to 1 of 2 f of x dx plus the integral from -1 to 1 of 3 h of x dx. So there's our sum difference rule. And then from the first integral, I'm going to pull out a constant of 2 outside of the integral and rewrite this as 2 times the integral from -1 to 1 of f of x dx. And then the second integral, I'm going to pull out the constant of 3 because we can pull out a constant multiple. And we have some information about the integrals that are here. We know that the integral from above, from -1 to 1 of f of x dx is 5. So this will be 2 times 5 plus 3 times, and the integral from -1 to 1 of h of x dx is just 7. So this is 10 plus 21, or a total of 31. So this was really just to show you how we use those linear properties of the definite integral. And then our last one is an additive property. Notice that we want to find the integral from -1 to 1 of f of x dx. And in the information above, we have the integral from -1 to 1, and then from 1 to 4. So this is that additive property. We can combine these together to get the integral from -1 to 4. So I'm going to first write this as, well, this should be equal to the integral from -1 to 1 of f of x dx plus the integral from 1 to 4 of f of x dx. And we know that the value of the integral from -1 to 1 from our problem, that was just 5. And the integral from 1 to 4, that was a -2. And so this result will just be the number 3. I want to remind you also that the values that we get from the integrals, when they're definite integrals, are numerical values representing area or signed area. So let's talk about this idea of signed area for a moment, and that will end this video. But let's suppose that our function now is below the x-axis rather than above the x-axis. And remember how we calculate a definite integral, right? I'm interested in finding the integral from a to b, or understanding the value of the integral from a to b of f of x dx. Well, the way that we calculated definite integrals from the beginning was by first partitioning the interval from a to b into, n pieces. They can be equal width or not equal width, whatever you want them to be. And then we take the limit as the width goes to 0 or the number of pieces goes to infinity, after we have calculated the area of each rectangle. And what we used to calculate the area of the rectangle is we sampled a value in each subinterval to get the height. But notice here that when we form the product of, let's say for this rectangle that I'm shading, of the height f of x times the width delta x, this number will be less than 0 because f of x is the y value of the function, and that y value will be negative underneath the x-axis. So in this case, if the area that we find here, so if that has area, let's call it capital A, then the value of the integral from a to b of f of x dx, if the entire function is below the x-axis, well, this will just be the negative of that area A. And that's because when we form the Riemann sum, we're finding this product of f of x times delta x, and the function values are all negative because the function's below the x-axis. So this is why I keep saying that the definite integral gives us signed area, because we can get a negative value for the definite integral, not only if the function is entirely below the x-axis, but if part of the function's below the x-axis and part of it is above. If there's more of it below, then we should expect that the value of the definite integral will be negative instead of positive. Okay, I hope that made sense, and I will see you in the next video.